Fellow sports fans, it is another glorious Sunday night to recap another glorious weekend of NFL football. Loaded show as usual. Joe, Manish, Burge alongside. I don't know. I had an unbelievable Thanksgiving. Everybody knocks turkey. Say they try to be all cool. They try to be all like edgy and say ham this, ham that. Stuff the pig in the locker for one effing day. It's a turkey day. I love turkey. I love Thanksgiving. I haven't eaten since Thursday because I've been so full. I hope you guys had a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving as I did.
I did. I was eating. I probably had a nice, massive bowl of mashed potatoes. That's my favorite dish. Couple that with the turkey and football. Family, unbelievable day.
Yeah, it's one of the few Thanksgivings I did not overeat. So that's always a win.
Oh,
I don't think I've ever had one of those. I love
Me
Thanksgiving.
either.
I had just a bowl of stuffing for dinner tonight. That's all I had. That was it. That was the only thing left, and I was just like, I'm going down with the ship. I'm going down with this effing ship, dude. But yeah, dude, we had an insane Thanksgiving of football. Every dog won. Not only covered, but they won straight outright. We had the Lions beat the Packers. Wait, was it the Lions over the
Yep.
Packers?
Packers
yeah,
over the.
Packers over the Lions, the Chiefs over the Cowboys, and the Bengals over the Ravens.
Cowboys over the Chiefs.
Oh my God, I read it backwards every single time. Oh my God.
Are you still in that food coma?
Yeah, it's a food
dude,
coma.
No, I literally have it here and I have it written down. I have no idea. Maybe my dyslexia is back. But yeah, dude, I watched football all day. I was not surprised whatsoever. I don't think that the underdogs that won these games were like massive upsets or anything like that. The only one I was honestly surprised of was that the Bengals actually won by 2 scores on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, it was good to see Joe Burrow back out there. Their defense actually played really well, and some question marks with the Ravens going forward.
Yeah, it's funny. I think last week we said that this slate, the Week 13 slate, was really front-loaded. A lot of good games before the weekend, and not so many good games on paper on Sunday, although some of the games today, or Sunday, I should say, were actually pretty compelling. But yeah, Thursday, a lot of interesting things. What I took away from it, I know you're going to get into your first loser in a second, Joe, but what I took away from it is that you should be very afraid of the Dallas Cowboys for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, and I'll just jump right into my my winners and losers from the weekend. I'll start with my losers, and I'm going to go with the Lions. The Lions ended up losing to the Packers. And I think that, unfortunately, the Lions have been passed by the Packers and the Bears in the NFC North. I don't think we can get to the Minnesota game and the absolute garbage that they put out there on offense today. That was horrible. But yeah, I think the Packers have gotten passed by 2 teams with younger coaches, younger quarterbacks. I don't know what else to say, dude. I feel like the Lions had a window there. They ended up getting really banged up one season. They had a window. They won a playoff game. Another I just don't see. I don't see the ceiling getting any higher for this Lions team. I think they maxed out Jared Goff. Good quarterback, not great. And I think that due to all of the turnover on their coaching staff, it's going to be really tough to kind of get back to where they were, the heights they've been in the last couple of years. I don't know. I just see what I've seen. The Bears are the now number 1 seed. The Packers passed them, and I think are in second place in the AFC North and a wild card seed. And the Lions are now on the outside looking in. So, yeah, Bears, I don't know if you have any thoughts on the Lions there.
Well, as the resident, massive Lions fan that I've been over the last couple of years, it's really disheartening to see what's kind of happening with that team, especially with the ascent of the Bears. And, it's a great division. We said it at the beginning of the year that this division was going to be extremely competitive. We thought Minnesota was going to be a little bit better. We thought the Bears were going to be a little bit worse. But yeah, it's real. There's the team lost both their coordinators in the offseason, and I think it's finally catching up with them because as we all know, the team is extremely talented, and them losing Amon-Ra St. Brown in this game was definitely a tough blow for a team that is now on the outside looking into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I just feel like this is another one of those teams where it just like they're like the 49ers. Like they're just a loaded roster, but they feel like they're just absolutely decimated by injuries every year. And it's never like third string tackles or anything like that. It's these like blue chip guys that really make the engine run. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown leads the entire NFL in receptions and targets in the last 3 seasons. So I don't really I don't know really see where they go from here. I know this is a bigger point than just losing to the Packers this weekend. I mean, they lost by 7 points at home to a divisional opponent who's on the come. Like they're a good team.
And they swept them. They swept
but
them this year too.
yeah, and I just think it just goes deeper than that. Like Dan Cable's taking over play calling. That didn't work. The ascension of the Bears, I think, is kind of the propellant of this take that I have here. But I just don't see. I think the ceiling has already been met for the Lions. They're a formidable team. I don't think they're dead. I don't think they're done. I think they'll be back next year as long as they have Jared Goff and the weapons on offense. Obviously, they're going to win regular season games, right? But I just don't really see where you go from here with the Lions. Who do you got as your loser from this weekend, Berge?
My loser today, the Indianapolis Colts. They dropped today's game 20-16 to the Texans at home. Another game where Jonathan Taylor was bottled up by that Houston defense. Only 85 yards on the ground. I think it's the first game this year where the Colts were held under 20 points, which is definitely concerning for this Colts team that I think we've talked about on the podcast here, that their team that needs to be playing from the front. They're built to play with a lead because they rely so heavily on the run game. And when things don't necessarily go their way, this is what happens. And we're seeing now a little bit of a pattern. This is the second loss in a row. So they're now 2 games behind the Patriots and the Broncos as of recording right now for the number 1 seed in the AFC. A team that's kind of going in the wrong direction. And I know we're going to get to that division in a little bit here. But they got teams nipping right behind them, pushing for a playoff spot. They have to correct this fast to avoid a massive collapse in the month of December to basically fall out of the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen, but they have to really, really right this ship quickly. And I think that the MO is out on how to beat the Indianapolis Colts, and that's bottling up Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, and I think I said it last week. It was just like they were shot out of a cannon. I forget what they're 8-4 right now, and I want to say they started the season 7-1, and they're in 7-1 maybe, and they're 1-3 in their last 4 weeks or something like that. They're just not playing. They're not playing well. And like you said, dude, you just bottle up Jonathan Taylor. You put it all on Daniel Jones, and to cap all it off, Daniel Jones isn't even 100%. So not only are you putting it all on the shoulders of a quarterback who has been proven to kind of crap his pants in the most important moments, like not only are you putting it in his hands, that player is also not 100% healthy. So I don't know. If you look at the AFC playoff picture, dude, there's, like you said, dude, there's a lot of teams in that 6, 7, 8 that could go in that 6, 7, 8 range. They're tied for their division lead, but they only have a 1-game lead on the second spot in their division on Houston, and then they have Buffalo at 8-4 in the 7th spot, and then Houston is right behind them at 7-5 in the division and vying for a playoff spot as well. So I don't know. I feel like all the pressure's on Indy after they were a front running for the better part of the first half of the season, and I don't know. I just don't see their even like not just in the game. Are they not like chasers? Like I don't see them as like a whole season chaser, like chasing a playoff spot is where they need to be. Like I feel like the Colts need to be comfortable, need to be out in front in every sense of the word. So I totally agree with the Colts being a loser this weekend.
And real quick before I toss it over to Mish for his thoughts on the Colts, I want to talk about Houston for a second. I mean, they've really come on the last month or so in their season. Their defense is. I don't want to play their defense. Their defense is scary, and they're another team that Manish mentioned Dallas right off the top about a team to be very, very worried about playing down the stretch here. I think this Houston team, just on the defense alone, is another one of those teams that like you do not want to see them while they're playing at the level that they're currently playing at. Their offense is still questionable. CJ Stroud wasn't great in this game, but that defense, man, is absolutely game changing, and I would not want to see them, down the stretch or in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you, Burge. Like a month ago, they were left for dead, right? They were 3-5. They've won 4 in a row now, and as you said, making that transition from Stroud to Davis Mills and now back to Stroud hasn't really made a significant difference. None of those guys, neither one of those guys has been awesome outside of the first game that Davis Mills played. But you're right, that defense is carrying them 4 wins in a row. The Colts, to me, there are a million variables that, as you guys outlined. What I found to be pretty eye-opening is that the Colts are undefeated, 7-0 when Jonathan Taylor scores a touchdown. They're 1-4 when he doesn't, and he obviously did not today. So that opens the door for the Texans, the Jaguars. As I've said, and I think you guys echoed this sentiment over the last several weeks. Not overly impressive, but the fact that they've got a chance to grab sole possession of first place if they beat Indy next week, it really speaks volumes to the job that Liam Cohen has done. So again, traditionally the weakest division in football now has become one of the most intriguing, if not the most intriguing division over the remaining few weeks of the season.
Manish, you want to wrap up our losers with your loser of the week?
Yeah, it's the Steelers. They started off 4-1. You got to give Burge credit. Burge said that the Steelers suck. He also said that a number of other teams sucked. He didn't, but he was dead on about the Steelers. The Steelers were 4-1. They've lost 5 of their last 7, 3 of their last 4, and really got pummeled at home, beat up by the Buffalo Bills. Much like the Eagles on Thanksgiving or on Black Friday, were beat up by the Bears running game. The Bills running game did exactly that to Pittsburgh. Over 200, almost 250 yards on the ground. You're not going to win very many games, obviously, if your defensive line gets pushed around like that, and that's really what happened to the Steelers. And now you've got to factor in that Alex. I was going to say Alex Rodriguez, the football version of A-Rod, Aaron Rodgers, wasn't 100% healthy anyway, with the fractures in his hand, his wrist. 3, depending on what you read. He got drilled on the sack fumble that led to the Bills' defensive score, and even though he came back into the game, clearly he isn't right. So that's something to monitor over the next month of the season. The silver lining, if you're a Steelers fan, is that even though you're 6-6, you're tied with the Ravens. You do have 2 games remaining with the Ravens. You haven't played them yet, so you do control your fate in that respect. The footnote of the Steelers losing is that it really opens the door, believe it or not, for the Cincinnati Bengals to steal that division. Even though they're 4-8, and you think 4-8, how can that team win a division? The fact that nobody has really jumped to the forefront in the AFC North gives Joe Burrow and Cincinnati actually a puncher's chance if they win out to sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah, for me, this game said so much to me about the Steelers. I mean, they had so many opportunities in the first half, especially offensively, to kind of really seize control of that game, and their offense just couldn't get it done. Like you said, Aaron Rodgers not looking like himself, and he took an absolute shot on that hit. He did not see it coming. He came up, his face was all bloodied, his nose was all cut up. You could tell he was not in it, and you kind of got a picture of what it's like without Aaron Rodgers there. And Mason Rudolph comes in one drive. What's he do? Tosses an interception. Like there's a lot of problems there. And I got to shout out my guy, Patrick Sage. He's my buddy. He's a big Steelers fan. He was on this before me, and he got me kind of on the train about, saying that the Steelers are not good. He's one of those guys that wants them to just blow that team up. I think they're long overdue for it, but like you said, Manish, they still control their fate despite how bad they've looked recently, with the record and the opponents coming up.
Yes, they do hold their own destiny in their own hands, but why? Aaron Rodgers should not be on the field, dude. He takes one more of those hits. I just don't know what's going to happen. So, I don't know. I feel like this is one of those where, you're probably going to lose this if Aaron Rodgers is on the field or not. This is another one where I don't think he should have been on the field. take the 2 weeks, take 3 weeks to get your bones healed and go win a division with 8 or 9 wins. Like, don't jeopardize losing the whole thing by trying to win an unwinnable game. I thought the Bills really found their identity in this game. There's probably some stat out there about if James Cook rushes for so many yards or has so many touches, the Bills automatically win. I guarantee there's a stat out there like that because I think they've finally found their identity. Yes, is it a great show to put it in Josh Allen's hands 24/7 and to see him work? But I mean, there's a lot of unpredictability that comes with that. He can't be Superman every week. And I think putting the ball on the ground and getting this performance is a lot more sustainable than Josh Allen, like, for instance, having 6 touchdowns in a game like he did in the last week or two.
That's not sustainable? 6 touchdowns?
Yeah, I just
maybe in your eyes, Manish.
Maybe running the ball effectively like they did today, maybe more sustainable than having one player score 40 points by himself. I'm just saying maybe.
Well, that's where the Bills have found success early in the season when they were winning games. It was James Cook was going off, and Josh Allen was playing better than he is currently right now, which is, even in some of their losses, James Cook has found success. On that Thursday night game, I think he ripped off a long touchdown run in the Thursday night loss that they had to the Texans. They need to be able to run the ball because they don't have the offensive weapons. It's just going to be a matter of if Josh Allen takes care of the football. Didn't tell you that bad pick early in the game. Luckily, it didn't come to bite him because the Steelers couldn't do anything with it.
All right, let's clean up losers here. I think, Manish, we missed one big injury from our losers today.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner. It looks like he avoided an Achilles injury. When the injury happened, non-contact, you kind of feared potentially an Achilles issue. And even if you listen to Gardner after the game, he said it felt like he got shot on the back of his leg. And that's typically what guys feel like.
He turned around like somebody hit him. And
that's exactly what happens when you tear an Achilles. I would say that happens at least 50% of the time. When a guy tears his Achilles, the first thing he does is look behind him to see if he got kicked. And so that's a scary moment. It appears from the early reporting that it's not actually an Achilles injury. It's a calf injury, which is, right next to the Achilles, of course, but much less significant. Now, a calf injury does take time to heal, so I would be shocked if Gardner was back this upcoming week against the Jaguars. That seems like a long shot. It's probably going to be several weeks. As an extension of that, one of the games we're not going to talk about because it had no playoff implications, Falcons-Jets. The Jets look great. They traded away Gardner, got 2 first-round picks, Adonai Mitchell, another guy that Burge was relatively high on in terms of low risk, high reward, 100-yard game, touchdown. We're not going to belabor the point on the Jets because they're out of it. They're 3-9. But that trade, the early returns look great for New York.
Feel free to belabor the point about Burge, though. Keep that going.
Dude, he was cooking. I know it's probably because a lot of these big game corners kind of let go of the rope a little bit when they're playing, for lack of a better term, lesser players. But like, I don't know, Mitchell was cooking Gonzalez. He just couldn't make the catch on a lot of them. So it looks like he got a little of the kinks mixed worked out there. A couple more losers I want to point out before we get to our winners here. I got the Raiders and the Browns. I'm going to do both Shadur Sanders takes here. Tom Brady passed on Shadur Sanders 6 times. It looks like for good reason with the Browns. They scored 8 points. They ran the ball. I think they ran the ball like 40 times with Shadur behind center. They scored 8 points. And then going over to the Raiders, I don't know what you do with that franchise, dude. They have 2 pieces with Genti and Brock Bowers at positions where you can't be the best player on your offense at those positions and be a high productive offense or a viable playoff team. You need to have They gave Geno Smith real guaranteed money. They brought Chip Kelly back after 6 or 8 years out of the NFL and made him the highest paid coordinator in sports. They gave Pete Carroll a boatload of money. The roster sucks. The whole coaching staff sucks. I don't know. I just don't know how it gets worse for the Raiders, but I don't know how. I think Tom Brady is starting to be on the hot seat. Not like he's going to get fired or he has any real responsibility or anything, but if you bring somebody in like that, they're supposed to have the winning quotient, whether it is operational excellence or some secret sauce in the playbook or whatever the hell it may be. But Tom Brady doesn't seem like he has it now. And like I said before, he needs to pick something and go with it. He needs to stop trying to do everything at the same time.
I agree with that, but you gotta understand it's first year. Like first year, you gotta before you start, crucifying somebody, you gotta give it some time. Now, did they make the right choice in bringing Pete Carroll to be their head coach? Meh, probably not. Chip Kelly obviously was a disaster, and the team is not good. Geno Smith's not the guy. They have to turn it around quick. I wouldn't be calling for his head again 3 months or 3 months into his first stint of owner, and it's not like you said he's going to get fired for it. So be interested to see where they go from here in the draft and everything.
Dude, so the Broncos, just for reference, the Broncos went 8-8 in their first season with John Elway as president of football operations. I know he has probably 10 times as much more say in what goes into the football team and what goes on behind closed doors, but just a nice little point of reference to prove my point.
Time will tell. I don't even remember what that roster looked like when John Elway took over. I'd love to see it. Probably was more talented than the one Brady walked into.
We'll see what happens with Brady. I'm with Virgil on this real quick. John Elway, great guy, great player, obviously. He thought the next great young quarterback was going to be Paxton Lynch. So, take that for what it's worth.
So didn't Shiloh. Shout out Shiloh. Anyway, somebody want to hit me with one of their winners?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, great for fans of the AFC South. The division is strong. But another winner, Seattle, for a number of reasons. One is, if you watch that game, the quarterback, Sam Darnold, not really impressive. Running game, marginally impressive. Didn't really do much offensively. 3.5 yards per play. Their defense absolutely dominated an overwhelmed, undrafted rookie quarterback like you're supposed to do. They did not give Max Brosmer any room to breathe. 4 interceptions, quarterback rating of 32, completely neutralized Justin Jefferson. 2 catches for 4 yards. The Vikings are a complete mess. 10 penalties. They got to be wondering, why they let Sam Darnold out the door. They completely imploded their season. They're 4-8. They're done. They probably would have been a legit playoff contender, even Super Bowl contender if they kept Darnold. But that's probably a different discussion for a different day. Seattle is now one of 3 teams in the NFC West with 9 wins. That is a powerhouse division. With the Rams losing, they're at 9-3. Seattle winning 9-3. The Niners also winning, haven't had their bye. They're at 9-4. I mean, just what an incredible division that is. And Seattle took care of business at home as they should. Shut out. They're one of the teams, as we've said the last couple of weeks, they sort of fly under the radar, but they're going to be a potential problem when the playoffs roll around.
That division is going to be something to watch down the stretch because these teams all play each other again.
Yep.
It's going to be fantastic football to watch in December.
Dude, I was getting all excited too because that kid from the Seahawks played the Vikings, and that kid from undrafted free agent from the University of New Hampshire played for quarterback for the Vikings, and goddamn does he suck. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, he had one of the worst pick sixes you'll see at any level.
High school, so bad.
Red zone interception. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe that he could get away with that in high school. I don't know. I don't think he could, but that was a horrific play. Look, the guy was overmatched. He should obviously not be playing, but injuries thrust him into that situation. And again, the Vikings have a playoff roster. You can make a legit case they have a Super Bowl contending roster if they kept the quarterback they had last year that led them to 14 wins. They decided not to, and now they're paying a heavy price.
Yeah, they could be one of our losers every week we go on in the season, and every week they put out some guy from New Hampshire at quarterback. It's just insane. My winner this week is going to be the Jags. After their win and the Colts lost, they're first in the NFC South, they're third in the AFC. I put my foot in my mouth on this one because I told everybody that they have to run the ball to win. They could not run the ball to friggin' save their effing life. They had 9 running backs touch the ball in this game, and not a single one of them averaged over 3 yards a carry. So they got stuffed every time they ran the ball. But Trevor Lawrence, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, 0 turnovers. I don't know. I think the Jags got a good thing cooking here. I think we talk about coach quarterback combo a lot. I think they're pretty strong in both categories here. We've been pretty hard on Trevor Lawrence, but I think when you play like this, when you have an efficient game without turnovers, and this is how Trevor Lawrence picking up, like we said last week, picking up first downs with his legs, not turning the ball over, like that is peak Trevor Lawrence, and that's how this team is going to win. Even it proven this week, even against an inferior opponent, proven this week that they don't have to rush for 150 yards to move the ball effectively and win a game. And then Jacoby Myers, dude. I don't know why this dude bounces around. He seems to catch on and be productive everywhere he goes. 6 receptions, 90 yards, and a touchdown today. I just feel like you put him in a viable pass offense where he doesn't have to be the number one wide receiver and he's going to produce. But yeah, I have the Jags. They got a ferocious young defense. They got everybody in offense. A bunch of young players pulling in the right direction. A young offensive whiz head coach. I don't know. There's a lot of check marks in the positive column for the Jags.
We were saying at the trade deadline that why the heck did the Jaguars make that trade? And it's paying dividends for them right now. They actually took over first place via the tiebreakers of the division today with the wins and the Colts loss, which I don't think any of us saw really coming a few weeks ago with the way that the Colts were playing. You got to love it. That division's great.
Manish, do you have any opinion on the NFL blue chip franchise, Jacksonville Jaguars?
I think I said it last week. Trevor Lawrence is one of the most confounding quarterbacks there is.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously very physically gifted, but so erratic. If he can play like he played today, the Jaguars, could make a little bit of noise in the playoffs. It's just that every time I get behind him and think, hey, you know what? This guy might be worthy of the number one overall pick status that he is. He throws in a clunker, a 2-3 turnover game. So I'd like to see some consistency in December, but he surely played well today. If you take care of the ball, you can win games. It's pretty simple. You see, for the most part, you see it in Philadelphia, not really working out in the last few weeks, but generally speaking, if you take care of the ball, more times than not, good things will happen. And he's so talented that if he could just cut down on these self-inflicted wounds, the Jaguars again could, maybe win a game or two in the playoffs.
Burge, who do you have as your winner this weekend?
All right, to close it out, I got the Carolina Panthers as a big winner today. They beat the number one team on our power rankings, the Los Angeles Rams. They beat them 31-28. They forced Matthew Stafford to throw 2 interceptions, including a pick 6. Matthew Stafford hadn't thrown a pick, I think, since like week 3.
He had touchdown passes in a row without an interception.
Set the record for the most touchdowns. He broke Tom Brady's record for the most consecutive touchdowns without throwing an interception. And immediately after that, he did end up throwing the interception, the pick 6. But the Carolina Panthers have positioned themselves very nicely with this win. This was a very tough opponent. Again, a team that consensus on this podcast have as the best team in the NFL. And they beat them. And now they sit alive in their division hunt down in the NFC South. Tampa Bay won today. They won a close one against the Arizona Cardinals. I think they won by 3 points. They needed to win that game because had they lost, Carolina would be sitting atop that division down there. So that's going to be another fascinating matchup to watch down the stretch. In a couple of weeks, they have the Buccaneers at home. So that's, could be a game that plays a big factor in who wins that division. I mean, the Saints, obviously, we know what they are. They got, I think, blown out today, and the Falcons lost to the New York Jets. To my dismay, as my lock of the week, they failed me. The Falcons did. So the Panthers again went in. I think they won a game that nobody, including anybody on this podcast, thought that they were going to win.
Yeah, speaking of locks, spoiler alert, no canine picks on Thursday's podcast.
Boo!
Hey, I just want to sneak in one last winner. Bucky Irving. He had missed a lot of time with several different injuries. So that in and of itself is tough to come back from. He also reportedly been dealing with some other personal hurdles to get through the rehab and get back on the field. He comes back, he scores a touchdown in that Tampa win. So always great to see an injured player come back, especially someone who had been dealing with not only the physical component of returning, but also the emotional and the mental component as well.
There's
Yeah,
something
Travion
there for me
Henderson.
to be thankful for this Thanksgiving. It's Bucky Irving coming back from my fantasy team. Had to throw that in there.
Well, Travion Henderson had a great quote. I don't know it verbatim, but he had a great quote. Basically, like, yeah, we're like professional athletes and football players, but like we're like humans too. So like sometimes when it's like hard to get up and go to work in the morning and get out of bed in the morning, like we have those thoughts too. Just because we're paid millions of dollars, just because we play in front of millions of people, doesn't mean it's always like the easiest thing to do. And I think that kind of puts it in perspective, especially for an injured player, Bucky Irving, who missed some time last year, missed some time this year, like young player having trouble staying on the field. So I could, and especially in the day of social media where you open your phone and it's like, dude, like if I was one of those guys, dude, I would never have social media. I would never open up the comments, the mentions, anything like that. They're a lot tougher than I. But yeah, dude, I'm excited for this Sunday night game. This it's shaping up to be a good game. 3-0 Denver with like 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Washington has the ball driving in Denver territory. And then we have a pretty exciting matchup, not an important, but you could say exciting matchup on Monday night with Drake May and the Patriots versus looks like Jackson Dart's going to give it a go and the Giants in the Meadowlands. You guys have anything else to put a bow on this one?
Go Patriots!
Yay.